Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. The NBA playoffs are here, and Michelob Ultra is getting you closer to the game than ever with courtside seats and more. Enter now at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access Courtside 2024 to 2025 sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Ends on July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/superior access/courtside for free entry deadlines and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along. I'm Ian Brannan. Coming up in this episode, reaction from Bank Holiday Monday. 6 of the 7 Rome Motor Oil Premiership sides were in action, and we'll bring you up to date.
So, there wasn't panic stations, no, but we know we needed to put our finger out and make best starts, harder first bends, and step it up a gear or two, and we certainly did.
I honestly do think that as a 1 to 7, there isn't a better team in the league, and I do honestly think that we can go both home and away and beat anyone on aggregate anywhere.
Yeah, like I say, it's only early for me in the season. I think tonight was my 7th match. You know, I had 8 months off the bike and not done a lot, so I'm still tweaking, fine-tuning everything. Everything kind of fell into place nicely there today.
We're looking ahead to the British final on Monday as well. One rider who qualified by winning the British semi-final was Dan Thompson. And we chat to the Ipswich and Glasgow star in part 2.
The biggest thing is the Rise of Star programme. I think without that, over the last year or two, I'd have probably gone into the retirement dungeon of the sport. So I wouldn't have had that progress into the top league, and especially just racing championship alone or just the National League, it's not enough to financially sustain myself.
And we hear from the reigning champion looking to make it 4 British championships on the bounce. He'll join the likes of Barry Briggs, and, well, just Barry Briggs is the only other rider that's ever done it. Dan Bewley on the way before the end of the podcast.
I have no real superstitions or anything like that. And if I ever do get any, I feel like I always try and break them. So, I might go mountain biking. If I'm tired, I might do nothing.
All that and much more to come on British Speedway's official podcast.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along. Lots on the way, and we'll start with reaction from the fixtures on Bank Holiday Monday. It was a packed programme, of course, in the Rome Motor Oil Premiership, and the Ipswich Witches remain top of the pile with a 100% record, despite an early scare from local rivals Kings Lynn. The Stars stunned a big Bank Holiday crowd at Vauxhall by racing to a 24-18 lead after 7 races to leave the Witches facing a deficit on their home track for the first time this season. However, they turned the screw in the closing stages with a run of advantages, including 3 5-1s in the last 4 heats, to run out eventual winners 53-37. Top 2 of Jason Doyle, who got 12+2, and Emil Saifutinov with 12+1, were involved in maximums in heats 13 and 15, whilst Kings Lynn captain Nikolai Clint reached double figures at reserve. Well, we'll get some reaction now, and team boss Richie Hawkins tells Mike Boswell it was never quite panic stations.
There wasn't panic stations, no, but we know we needed to put our finger out and make best starts, harder first bends, and step it up a gear or two, and we certainly did.
And when you look down, obviously Nikolai Clint was a bit of a problem for the Witches, and it looks like their team's going to be made up that way throughout the course of the season. You've got the Knockout Cup coming up. Your thoughts on when you go there, is that going to be an issue for you, or do you see that actually it's strength in depth that the Witches have got?
Nikolai's a very experienced rider reserve. He goes very well around here on a slick track, so we knew he was going to be great. But we've got the best reserves in the league, and certainly not worried about anything. I mean, I think Dan Thompson's pulled out 2 wins at the end, and then that was as important as anything for us.
And looking at Dan, Dan and Jordan, I knew you pulled Jordan out. Is Jordan struggling after last Wednesday's crash, or is it just a decision that you thought Dan might be able to go better in the final heat?
Jordan's riding through the pain barrier, but Dan made a great start off gate 4. He was the only person that could make it off of gate 4 today. He made a brilliant start in his race before off gate 4, so he went in again off gate 4 and made another superb start. So Dan's the one man who can get that working off any start gate, and it's great when you can rely on a young rider and still rely on him to pull out in the big moments. And looking down, really, you're right. When you look at looking at your final kind of heats, you had Adam Ellis, Dan Thompson involved, Emma, obviously Jason, and it must be nice not to have to necessarily rely on the power of Jason and Emma when you've got those kind of options. Yeah, I mean, we haven't had to rely on Jason and Emma this season, and they've been able to sort of get themselves back into the season a little bit from their injuries last year. But today, when we needed them, they both stepped up and was absolutely superb. We needed them today, and they when we needed them, they were there. Adam Ellis's ride in Heat 12 was superb, and probably that for me was the match-winning ride. He did so well to get Dan past him, and then first 2 laps to get settled into a 5-1. That ride by Adam in Heat 12 was superb. I mean, I'm sure he'll be disappointed with the score, but that contribution in Heat 12 was the match-winning ride for me.
We'll hear more from the Ipswich side of the pits in a little while, because Dan Thompson's the main guest on this podcast, so he can tell us his view of this particular fixture in just a short while. Right now, let's get the view from the Kings Lynn camp, and Richard Lawson also chatting with Mike Boswell.
We started off good. I feel like we've kind of thrown it away. Coming here, obviously Ipswich have been riding really well, and we knew it was going to be tough, but to get I think we were 6 up at one point. Threw that away. So it's a little bit frustrating. It's a much improved from what we were on the road for sure. But I just feel like we fell apart a bit there at the end.
Yeah, and really up to heat number 9, you were really putting the fright up the witches. It was only towards the end. Do you think it's the sheer kind of heat leader status they've got, or was it just that you guys fell apart at that point?
Yeah, I can't really put my finger on it just now, but obviously them big heats are tough with Emil and Doyley. But I know we tried and everyone did. It's just a bit frustrating that we didn't get it over the line.
So there's the thoughts of Richard Lawson. The Kings Lynn Stars, then the best performing team at Vauxhall so far this season. Let's hear from team manager Rob Lyon.
Many people said that you'd built the Peterborough side and there could be 1 or 2 shocks. It looked that way coming into heat number 9 for the Kings Lynn Stars. It didn't quite come through, but a good performance up until that particular point.
Yeah, a little disappointing to be 6 up and then lose by 16. I think the score flatters Ipswich a little bit, to be quite honest, but fair play that they've won, they've got it over the line. But I was a bit. I think our boys are a little bit shell shocked in that after 9, like you say, we were well in it, and we just dropped off the edge of a cliff a little bit, really, which is a bit of a puzzle. That's Speedway. First time I've seen a blue groove around Ipswich, to be honest. But it was difficult with an afternoon meeting and sun and wind and everything else. But yeah, it was, like I say, it was okay, but we were disappointed that we fell away so badly, really.
And when you do look down kind of the score chart, Nikolai, you put him in for the 7 rides. You've always got that strong reserve at the bottom, and then looking down the rest of the team, they were certainly trying. It's just as you say, just at that end, they fell away. Was it perhaps too many rides for Nikolai, or was it just what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, sometimes you look at a meeting towards the end, and RR can sometimes work that way, where it's just 1 ride too many, and it can be you can just run short of riders or options, if you like. But we used all our sort of options to the best possible way we could, and like I say, it was working a treat. But fair play to Ipswich, they dug in and did the job.
And there's not many teams so far who have got the scoreline that you've got, when you consider there's been 60, a lot more on the scoreline. Obviously, regroup for Kings Lynn, Ben Cook, what's the latest on Ben? What's your thoughts on the team going forward for the Kings Lynn Stars?
Can't give you any update on Ben, only that he's obviously 3 weeks in and could be another 3-4 weeks yet. So it's a case of just monitoring that as each week goes by. I'm guessing really. He's doing everything he can to speed the process up, as they do. But we'll just use horses for courses, use sort of guests and RR where we have to, and take it from there.
The Ipswich Witches then remain top of the table with a 100% record so far, and it's down to everybody else to chase after them at this moment in time. The Witches and the Stars, though, only riding the one meeting in the day. There were two other fixtures, which were home and away double headers, starting at the National Speedway Stadium with the Belle Vue Aces racing to a thrilling 46-44 home win over Sheffield at lunchtime. But the Tigers turned the tables with a big victory in the return fixture. It was the Oleton outfit who took the majority of Rowe Motor Oil Premiership points from the day, as they won 57-33 on home shale to also secure the aggregate points. They were well placed in Manchester for much of the afternoon, with the Aces recovering an 8-point deficit to finally level the scores in Heat 14 before Dan Bewley and Brady Kurtz pulled off a match-winning 4-2, split by Jack Holder in Heat 15. Kurtz and Bewley recovered from slow starts in their opening rides to score 12 and 10+1 respectively, whilst Holder scored 11+1 for the Tigers. Rising star Leon Flint chipped in with a not insignificant 9+1. Then in the evening in South Yorkshire, it was the Tigers who dominated throughout, 6 5-1s in the first 10 races to open up a 22-point advantage. We can hear now from the Sheffield Tigers team captain Josh Pickering reflecting on that meeting with Belle Vue with Ryan Guest.
Well, Pico, a 101-79 aggregate victory and 3 league points over rivals and defending Rowe Motor Oil Premiership champions Belle Vue on Bank Holiday Monday. That's more than a successful day in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we knew going to Belle Vue this morning was definitely going to be a bit of a tough ask. They are a great side and they are a bit like us, quite very good at home. Have 2 Grand Prix riders in the team as well. Don't make things easy, but I feel like all of us, wouldn't say more than okay, but there was parts where we all could have done better. I know they're going to be looking at themselves thinking the same thing, but you know, I know Sedge dropped a couple of points there, and Anders would be a bit disappointed with a couple of little decisions that he made also, and even myself, you know. So I feel like the little faults which end up costing us in the end, but it also put, with the way we started, put them in tax sub territory, which then, you know, played dividends to them in the end. They had the better gates in Heat 13 and obviously had a choice of Heat 15 as well. So all over, though, to be honest, to show the aggregate score of how heavily we actually did, you know, beat them, that was the main important task of the day.
And as you say, another stunningly strong display on home shale as well, a third straight 57-33 win at Oleton. Just how much are the boys enjoying these home fixtures early doors?
It is always very important to have an all-riders that are very good at home, I suppose. That is really where you do need to put the foundation away to go away and sort of know what you got to get. But as well as that, you need all 7 riders enjoying themselves being at Oleton as much as what I do. So I feel like all the boys are settling in just nicely. Anders and Leon are both they're just stepping up when they need to, and that's great. I know Sedgie and Louis, they had much better meetings tonight at Sheffield. So we can just continue to focus on the positive, I suppose, and the things that weren't really going to plan. If we can work on that to continue to be better and better. I may be biased in saying this, but I see things for how it is, and I honestly do think that as a 1-7, there isn't a better team in the league, and I do honestly think that we can go both home and away and beat anyone on aggregate anywhere.
People see yours and Jack's Heat 15 efforts up against Brady Kurtz as well. Because of how much your gating's improved, we'd almost forgot just how thrilling it was to see you battle your way from behind. So just talk us through that one from your point of view.
Yeah, well, me, Jack and Brady, we've been racing each other since we were 8 years old, you know, so I feel like we've all got that mutual race respect. Sometimes you probably line a pass up, but you don't really know what the other rider's going to do, and I feel with us riding the way we sort of have done for so many years, we sort of know where we can point the bike without, one, endangering the other person, but two, also knowing that it's good, hard racing, and if I left the door open, you know, vice versa would happen. So Brady's at the top of his game at the minute. He's riding awesome everywhere. He obviously had a great Grand Prix on the weekend, but yeah, all that sort of goes out the window. The best thing for me is knowing him for so long, I suppose. I've never ever looked at him as a threat, just someone to learn off and someone to try and beat each, day in, day out. But yeah, the big heats is what we want to win. We never want to leave there, and the fans obviously as well. Like ending on a 5-1 against the top riders of the night, you don't want it to be the reverse way around, and the meeting on a bit of a sour taste in your mouth, I suppose. So I wasn't going to do anything silly as Jack either. Like we still got the whole season to race ahead, but at the same time, we're definitely going to leave any points on the table if we can do well.
And a week or so break now until you go head-to-head with the unbeaten league leaders Ipswich at Alderton. That's next Thursday, May the 15th. And that kickstarts a really busy period for the Tigers, doesn't it? Racing on 4 consecutive Row Motor Oil Premiership race nights.
To be honest with you, mate, I'm really looking forward to going up against Ipswich. I think that's going to be our best test. Around Sheffield, like you line all the riders up 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4, so on. And I really do think that our 7s is better than their 7. May not be much better, but I do think we can come away with the points. Going back to Ipswich, only time will tell. It's a place that I enjoy riding now, so I'm looking forward to go there anyway. But yeah, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And at the moment, as you said, they are in tip-top form. But I really do feel as if we're still winning races, and all of us boys aren't all doing exactly what we're capable of. So it is very hard to get all riders to do that on the night, but I really do feel it is coming, and when it does come, the results will show.
Well, time will tell, and will Sheffield be the team to stop the Ipswich Witches? We'll find out in good time. The other meeting taking place on Bank Holiday Monday was the double header between Oxford and Birmingham, and Oxford are off the mark in the Row Motor Oil Premiership with a maximum haul of points against Birmingham, inspired by new signing Craig Cook. The Spires won 49-41 at Cowley on Bank Holiday Monday lunchtime, then added 47-43 victory at Perry Bar, where Cook reeled off 5 straight wins and a 15-point maximum at reserve. The home win was underpinned by a fast start to go 8 points up in the early stages. Their opening combination of Matsej Janowski and Eric Riss both scored 11 plus 2 from 5 rides. Michael Jepsen Jensen totalled 13 for the Brummies, and they look set to gain their long-awaited first win of the season when they led the return fixture by 6 points after 5 races. But the Spires hit back strongly, 5 ones in heats 9 and 11, and Cook then took crucial wins in heats 12 and 14 to see them win on the night, despite the Brummies' top 2 of Tobias Mujalak bagging 11 plus 1 and Jepsen Jensen with 10 plus 2, both hitting double digits. Time for some reaction right now. Let's hear from the man who kicked off his career with the Oxford Spires with that first maximum 15 points on the board for Craig Cook.
5 rides, 5 wins. It couldn't have got any better.
Yeah, I was more surprised than myself, Anna. If I come away with like what I got at Oxford this morning, I'd have been happy, but like I say, it's only early for me in the season. I think tonight was my 7th match. I had 8 months off the bike and not done a lot, so I'm still tweaking, fine-tuning everything. Everything kind of fell into place nicely there today. First ride was really good, bike was working nice. Second race, although I won it, it felt a bit flat, so put a tube back on, and just made minor adjustments all night. And engine was working sweet, and pulling nicely on the track, and couldn't ask for any better.
The big thing was getting you off the start line, because some of those starts, especially heat 14 off the outside, you absolutely flew away. Yeah, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? I wouldn't even have put money on myself to do that. So, like I said, was always surprising myself. But I'm really, really happy, and I'm just happy for Oxford, all the management. I know how much they care and how much effort they put in behind the scenes. I know how stressed Pete and Jamie and that have all been. They got a lot of grief for obviously dropping young Gus. It's not nice, being dropped, but hopefully, that the 2 wins under the belt now is going to kickstart our season, put a smile back on the fans' faces, and we've moved forward from here. And personally, you talked about needing to get back in the Premiership, obviously for your business as well as your riding, so that's a great start, and hopefully kick on from that. Yeah, I got some money in the bank now, eh? It's just good, just to have these 6 meetings in 5 days. It's been hard, but
Looking forward to tomorrow, get some rest. We've still got some ideas, just a little bit more testing to do. Maybe try and have a ride Wednesday, get out and do some testing and keep moving forward. But I'm in a good place right now. I'm happy with the way things are going, and like I say, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Well done, Craig. Good to see you smiling. Thank you.
Yeah, Dave Rowe chatting with Craig Cook there. I do apologise for the beeping in the background, by the way. It's not your smoke alarm at home, so don't go setting that, or any alarm in your car. It is, in fact, the 2-minute time allowance at Birmingham, which beeps for the entire 2 minutes in the pits, and it's pretty hard to avoid, unfortunately, but that's what it is. Just to explain where it is, that is the beeping noise. Do not adjust your sets. Let's hear now from the boss of the Birmingham Brummies, promoter Nigel Tully, on a frustrating night again for the Brummies.
Things weren't going our way. Jonas's bike wasn't on top form tonight, and then he eventually retired in his last race. He wasn't his normal self. It was all going our way to start off with. I think the exclusion in Heat 2, I think that was wrong. So we've had a look at our video and it doesn't show any contact. And that's the sort of way the evening went on. After being down there this morning, I was expecting to be a bit closer than it was down there. And to be quite honest, I was expecting us to come up here with the track being deeper, because it was that slick down at Oxford, it was unbelievable, and our riders couldn't get on with that. But up here with it, with the depth greater, I was expecting us to make up 10 points. I was expecting us to get one better than what we'd gone down there. I was expecting us to get the 2 points up here and the bonus point. But I don't know what happened halfway through. Blame it on the track. But and certainly Heat 15, they went out there and could ride the track perfectly well there. Things could have been better on the track, but the weather conditions have been bad again this week. We've got temperatures up to 24, 25 degrees, baking the track, no rain, and we just still can't get the water into the track. We still haven't got the depth in the track. I mean, there's hundreds of tons of shale out there, but we just can't break into that below an inch and a half below the surface. And if we could do that, I think that would make a difference. I think it would make a big difference, because our guys like riding the outside of the track, and they haven't been. In the first half they could successfully do it, but then in the second half they couldn't do that. They just haven't got the depth of shale on the track.
So the woes continue for the Birmingham Brummies, and they sit bottom of the Rowe Motor Oil Premiership. 6 matches, 6 losses and 0 points on the board. Conversely, though, at the other end of the table, the Ipswich Witches, who have got 6 meetings, 6 wins and 14 points, because they've taken 2 aggregate bonus as well. They lead the way ahead of Sheffield, who are in second place, 5 meetings ridden and on 9 points. Belle Vue are third, also on 9 points, but they've ridden 6 meetings. Leicester in fourth place, having ridden 5 meetings and on 6 points. Fifth are Oxford, 8 meetings ridden and 5 points on the board. And Kings Lynn have ridden 6 and they have 4 points. Birmingham, of course, 7th. So that's how the Rowe Motor Oil Premiership looks at this moment. And a bit of a break now for the British final, which takes place on Monday. We'll have more about that to come. Here are the fixtures then coming up in the Rowe Motor Oil Premiership. As I say, there's nothing over the next week, 10 days or so from the time of releasing this, with the British final on Monday, May 12th. The next action in the Rowe Motor Oil Premiership is Thursday, May 15th, when it'll be Leicester versus Kings Lynn, Oxford versus Belle Vue, and Sheffield versus Ipswich. So that's a big one at the top of the table there. Leicester versus Kings Lynn, by the way, advance notice will be live on BSN as well, so you can see that one on Thursday, May 15th. So in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear, we'll hear from one of those Ipswich Witches riders, and also representative of the Glasgow Tigers, who have secured their progression through to the semi-finals of the BSN series. He also won the British semi-final at Leicester last week, and he's going through to the British final and also a qualifier for SGP2 on the cards. It's a busy time for Dan Thompson, and he joins us next on No Breaks, No Fear.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. I'm Ian Brannan. Now, our main guest in this episode is certainly a very busy rider at this moment in time, although he's got a bit of a quiet period in the next couple of days, but that is certainly going to change around as we head through May. Dan Thompson, undoubtedly one of the rising star success stories of British Speedway. He's very much a man who people are talking about at the moment. Rising his way through the ranks at the Ipswich Witches, he's actually outgrown the Rising Star programme now. Such was his average at the end of last season, which bobbled around 5, if not more, through the course of 2024 and is set to head northwards again in 2025 the way he's going. He recently won the British semi-final and now qualifies for the main British final, which takes place on Monday. And he's also got qualifiers for the SGP2 series around the corner and racing, of course, with Ipswich and the Glasgow Tigers in the championship. And he joins us now. So fair to say, Dan, obviously last season people were talking about you. That finished strongly, and 2025's got off to a fantastic start as well.
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool week and a pretty good start to the year, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to the next few stages. Obviously, the British final's a big one for me. But I'll just be going out to enjoy it and see what I can achieve.
Let's talk about the bank holiday then in general. You've been in action with Ipswich. First of all, on Bank Holiday Monday, it was local derby, but you were on your home circuit. 9 points for you. It was a bit of a tough start, I think, wasn't it, for Ipswich? Probably the biggest challenge you've had, I guess, so far this season, would you say, against Kings Lynn?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I knew on paper that they looked strong. I'd seen a few comments saying that we had hammer them, but looking at their team, obviously with Nikolai at reserve, that's very, very strong for them. And they're always going to have a good number 6, which obviously makes my job harder. But we're always confident at home. I think the way the track was didn't suit us with the day meet, and I think that was probably the case for all of the day meetings. The tracks are different and a lot slicker. So it did catch us out, and at one point I thought that this isn't good. We're not going to get ourselves back in front, but we came strong in the end, like we always do.
Yeah, even Chris Harris said that he'd never seen Ipswich as slick as that. So it was obviously different conditions, even for the most experienced of riders. So that was a bit of a leveler, I guess, between the two teams, because you lose your home advantage as well.
Yeah, we did lose our home advantage, and it was tough because none of our usual setups or anything that we normally run would work. And Kings Lynn came out the traps in the first 8 heats or so, and they really looked like they were going to get one over us. It was funny because I'd speak to all the team, and one side of the team were doing one thing with setups, the other side were doing something completely different. So we were all sort of trying to figure out our individual setups, and it made it difficult, but we showed great character and got the job done.
There's no lack of experience, particularly of that circuit. Obviously, you've got Danny King, who's been there probably longer than I think you've been around overall. Knows it backwards, must have seen everything. You got Jason Doyle there, Emil Sayfutdinov, and as you say, you've got all these minds putting it together. And if they're struggling to figure it out, then for someone like yourself, obviously it's a learning curve for you though. And you go into a meeting there again in similar conditions, I guess, and you'll have a different approach to it, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, we know for next time, if there's a next year for all of us about the day meeting and what to expect, I suppose. But no, it's really cool. All the riders at Ipswich are very open with me, and can go and ask all the other 6 of them what they're running, and they'll tell me exactly what they're doing. So that's sort of what I do. I just ask for advice from all of them, and then make my own decision based off what everyone's doing. And because that was one thing I was guilty of in the past, was just asking one of the best riders a setup and then going and putting that on my bike. But that's not exactly how it works. You have to still figure things out for yourself. So that's what I do.
And it might come as a surprise, I think, maybe to some fans, that sharing of knowledge, of sharing of setups and experience, that doesn't necessarily come quite so freely in some teams, does it? There are some riders that will keep their secrets very much to themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As I was speaking to other rising stars and other youngsters that are in the top league, and they say it doesn't happen in their team. They can't really get much out of the top boys. But I'm really lucky at Ipswich. Everyone's been great with me, and obviously most of us have been there a few seasons or so. So we all get on really well, and it pays off on the track.
Bit of a break in action now for Ipswich in the Row Motor Oil Premiership, because we're focusing now on the British final, the Attis Insurance Sports Division British final at Belle Vue on Monday, May 12th. You go in there into the lineup with all of the well-known names of British Speedway, a number of riders seeded through, including the likes, of course, of Holder Dan Bewley. Robert Lambert is in there as well, and you were the winner of the British semi-final last week at Leicester, so now you qualify for your place in the main event, and you can just go out and mix it now. You never know what can happen. But talk us through that British semi-final, though. Stuart Dixon was on this podcast last week. He tipped that you could be one to watch, and Dicko was right.
Yeah, no, obviously it helps. I know Leicester really well, and still haven't forgotten my way around there. We've still been doing meetings there with Ipswich and here and there, and I've gone reasonably well in them. So I'm still confident riding Leicester, and it has changed a lot over the last year or so with the track conditions. So actually, what I was running the other night in the semi-final was nothing like what I normally run, sort of last year or the years before. So I'm still figuring things out, different things, and I seem to have a good setup in the end. And I knew when I faced Drew, whichever one of us won that race would probably win the meeting. So I think I had it a bit easier being off the inside of him in that one, and just managed to get that.
Looking at the draw, then you're drawn at number 5 for the event, so you'll be out in heat number 2. You're up against Louis Kerr, Carl Howarth and Connor Mountain. Of course, the field is packed full of experience, different levels of experience, but you've got former British champions in there, current British champions, of course, in the form of Dan Bewley. And I guess it's probably a slightly easier heat than perhaps heat number 6, which would feature Dan Bewley and Robert Lambert going against each other. So you've avoided that one, but you've got to ride them all at some point.
Yeah, as I said in a previous interview, I don't underestimate anyone's ability. In Speedway, anyone can pop out of the start and win a race. So whether it's the top boys in a heat or some of the other guys, it's the same effort and same target. So I'll just be going out there to try and make some starts and get myself in the mix. I'm not too bothered about gate picks or anything like that. You don't know what the gates will be like on the day, and everything always changes, and I'm pretty confident in my starting ability this year, so I'll try and make it wherever I'm put.
You have been on the winning side at the National Speedway Stadium this season with Ipswich. You've got a bit of experience of the track, but National Speedway Stadium, it presents a much different proposition, doesn't it, from the likes of, say, Ipswich or Leicester from a setup point of view?
Yeah, it is. I've done 2 league meetings around there so far this year, and gone well in both of those. Obviously, it's a track you can't hide around, so if the top guys are faster than you, they will hunt you down. So you've got to be on it and have a pretty good setup from the get-go. So, that's what I'll be trying to do.
Let's talk about a bit of Speedway that people often don't see, and that is what goes on between the meetings. And people will be aware that you've obviously had to find a new club. You got dropped out of that Leicester side, got picked up by Ipswich. A lot of people say that was, fantastic, best thing that's happened possibly for you. But also beyond that, a lot of investment from you as well in your own fitness and condition, but in your bikes, engines, all the gear you need. You're aiming to get the best you can possibly get. You've got some great sponsors. I know Simon, the Freddo man, as I know him as, he's been always telling about the stuff you got, new engines, new gear that you hope carries you forward. And these investments are working. You're buying new stuff. It's getting you where you want to be and where everybody's enjoying seeing you ride now.
Last year I sort of stepped up just through my riding ability, just trying to knuckle down and score as many points as I could. This year over the winter I've invested heavily, and I've been really lucky to have some good sponsors come on board, and that's enabled me to get much better equipment. That's been amazing for me. And obviously you mentioned Freddo. He's also been amazing to me and given me a bit of a loan that I was able to go and get a load of equipment, and then now I'm doing better, I can sort of cover that. So it's helped me to get into the season and obviously paying off.
Definitely is. And so that's the British final on Monday. The full lineup is Leon Flint at 1, Chris Harris 2, Dan Gilks 3, Tom Brennan 4, Dan Thompson 5, Louis Kerr 6, Kyle Howarth at 7, Connor Mountain 8, Drew Kemp 9, Robert Lambert 10, Steve Worrell 11, Adam Ellis 12, Danny King 13, Dan Bewley 14, Anders Rowe 15, and Charles Wright. Actually not listed with a number here, but I'm assuming he must be at number 16. But he's last on the list. So there we go. That's the lineup for the British final, live on Eurosport Monday night. You can also get yourself to the National Speedway Stadium for the British final, the Attis Insurance Sports Division British final, to give it its full title at Belle Vue on Monday. You've also got another fixture on the 24th of May, which is significant as well, the FIM SGP2 qualifiers. There's a few different events going on across Europe, but you've been drawn at the one at Ashfield in Glasgow, which works out well because you are a Glasgow rider. So that's going to work out pretty handily, hopefully, for you. And Ashton Bowshan also in that same meeting, along with Jake Mulford. Your brother Joe and Luke Harrison have been named as reserves as well. So full family affair there for you at Glasgow for a big day and a chance for you to get yourself on the SGP2 circuit.
Yeah, definitely. That's the aim anyway, and it's cool to have it at Glasgow. I still probably don't quite consider Glasgow as my home track yet. I've only done 2 meetings around it yet, so still getting dialed into it, and hopefully before that meeting I'll have had another couple, and then I can really feel at home and used to that circuit. So it's something I really want to qualify for. Last year I did come quite close. I was in one in Terranzano, and that was obviously quite difficult. But obviously having it on home turf this year will definitely give me a bit of an advantage.
And not every rider's getting that benefit. And there are quite a few riders taking part in it from Great Britain, of course. Yourself, Ashton Bowshan, and Jake Mulford. Your brother Joe and Luke Harrison are the reserves. Also, we have Sam Hagan, who's British Under-21 champion. He's going to the Czech Republic. And Luke Colleen is going to Hungary. But for you, you're going to your home track of Glasgow. But I guess there's the home comforts as well of you're around people that you recognise and know. It's a circuit that you know well. And given a couple more meetings, you'll have settled in much more. And how's life as a Glasgow Tiger so far? What's it like been riding for the club up to this point, though?
Yeah, it's really good. It's such a great club, and it's a great racetrack as well. And I figured things out pretty quickly the other night, and it was probably a lot slicker as well. That meeting was a bit earlier in the day as well, so things will probably be a little bit similar on the SGP2 day, and I'll be giving it my all.
You say it was a kind of all right meeting, but you actually got a paid maximum, so it was not a bad afternoon, and you got the bumps and everything as well. You're riding quite a lot at the moment in the team with Leon Flint, and to me, and probably to most people as well, when you look at it, Dan Thompson and Leon Flint, 2 of the rising stars of British Speedway, paired together in the mid part of a championship team. Yeah, that is a strong pairing, and I think you've got two riders there that you could be heading to number one potentially at some point, but at the moment, yourself and Leon, a strong partnership that probably will do a lot of damage, I think, for Glasgow in the order as it currently is.
Yeah, I do really enjoy riding with Leon, and obviously we're both still figuring out where each other's going to be on the track. We've had some good races together so far and some good 5-1s. Probably got in each other's way at times. That's just natural in Speedway. But yeah, I believe in my ability and he believes in his ability the same. And I think he's more than capable of popping out and beating anyone on the track the same as I feel. So yeah, we can just both continue doing our thing and getting some more 5-1s, and I think we'll be a dangerous duo.
Obviously, for Glasgow last year, it was a bit of an unusual year. They missed out on even the playoffs, and obviously, the going in as the defending champions found life tough. There is a different dynamic in the team this season. So, what's it like? Being riding for Glasgow, the support, but also a bit of expectation among Glasgow as well. But I guess that's healthy because you want to feel confident that there is a chance of winning something this year.
Yeah, I think that's the way I feel with both my teams. Obviously, Ipswich and Glasgow are both very driven to be challenging for them trophies, and come so close with Ipswich over the last couple of years. And obviously, Glasgow are always in the top two. Obviously, last year was a bit different, but they've always been in the playoffs at the end. So, I'm really desperate to keep pushing, and I do want to be on the podiums with some trophies at the end of the year.
We're starting to see some team changes now, and some of these affecting, riders at reserve, rising stars, and what have you. And you've been on that flip side. You have been that rider that was dropped, as sort of touched on before. You were with Leicester, then you've gone to Ipswich. Really, that's where you've kicked on from. You've gone on, you've soaked it all up like a sponge, all the experience in those pits. And of course, investment and improvement personally for yourself. But it just shows that actually, when one door closes, that doesn't have to be the end of Speedway. And you can, persist, stick with it, learn from it, and go again. And that's exactly what you've done.
A lot of people have said it that being dropped was probably the best thing for me. I was probably a little bit too much in my comfort zone at Leicester. I was just turning up week in, week out and doing the same thing. I guess you could say it was a bit vanilla. I was very just going along, not really going up or down, just in the middle. And when I was released, it kind of gave me a new fire to try and achieve something and get myself back in the window. And obviously I did look at the calendar and seeing when I would next be going back to Leicester to race, obviously against them that time, and that sort of gave me a bit of an aim to go back there and try and make a statement, which I ended up doing. It was nothing against anyone at Leicester or anything like that, just from a personal point of view. Obviously you want to go back and show that you can do something, and then obviously I moved on to Ipswich, and that's just been great. And obviously my improvement's been pretty steady there, from rising star last year and number 6 this year. We've got such a solid team that hopefully I think I'll be reserve all year, which obviously will be good as well.
What advice would you give to some younger riders maybe who are coming through, or any riders that are currently there now, about the drawbacks of Speedway, the sort of negative points of it, where you do find yourself on the sidelines getting dropped, or the pressure is on, and then riding through that and getting through that and coming out the other side as you've done? What would you say, I guess, to even your younger self about that situation?
Yeah, I think just try and be involved in the team. I think even before you get on the track, there's so many factors that can affect a young rider, whether they're going to go out and perform or not. One big thing for me is just being involved in the team, feeling like one of the other riders. Because obviously in the Premiership, at a young age, you can feel very easily out of place, out of your depth. And that was something I've experienced before, not really being included. But as soon as I came into Ipswich, it was sort of, obviously everyone knew I'm naturally quieter, but they'd come grab me, chuck me in the team talk, and always make sure that I'm all right, included, and I know what I'm doing. and that's just a massive thing, being able to go into the pits and just feel at home with everyone. Obviously, then there comes the riding aspect, which obviously that's the main part of racing. But I was just, one of the things I think is you have to kind of adapt your mindset to not fear who you're racing, because every race in the Premiership is tough for me. And like yesterday, I looked at my scorecard and I thought, if I don't knuckle down, it could easily be a 0 for me. But I just have to try and make my starts and get the elbows out and just race everyone like they're the same.
I suppose it's easy to be overawed by either the occasion or the riders you're up against. You know, if you're a Premiership rider, obviously you were riding with them, but you didn't have to ride against Emil or Doyley. But any of the other big hitters, you know, Dan Bewley or Ty Woofenden perhaps, obviously not at this moment, but you may have faced him. You know, riders that have been there, seen it and done it. And if you think about riding next to them, you might be more inclined to have a bit too much respect, perhaps, whereas if you don't really know or care who's under the helmet, you just go for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. As probably when I was 17, 18, I'd think be lining up on the start line next to, I don't know, someone like Sam Masters in the Championship and think, what's the point of even prepping my start gate? There's no way I'm going to outgate him. But now it's, yeah, you've just got to treat everyone the same, and this Speedway, you never know what can happen. And yeah, I've surprised myself quite a bit with some of the stuff I've done, and I just look to keep on doing that.
And perhaps one of those riders looking to emulate your success and follow those words is your brother, Joe, who started the season with the Plymouth Gladiators in the Championship, but obviously looking to get back into Rising Star or reserve berth somewhere in the Premiership, and again invested heavily in equipment and, you know, putting all the effort in and hoping to follow in your footsteps in 2025.
Yeah, he's trying his hardest, and obviously I'm passing on what I can to him. I've lent him one of my engines for the next few meetings. And he's done a couple on that so far. So, I do have bits and bobs that I'm giving him to help him out. Just try and get him back on the ladder. Because obviously I've said to him the biggest thing is the Rising Star programme. Because obviously there was talk of them scrapping it for this year or something like that. But I think without that, over the last year or two, I'd have probably gone into the retirement dungeon of the sport. Just so I wouldn't have had that progress into the top league, and especially just racing Championship alone or just the National League, it's not enough to financially sustain myself. So without a broad racing or the Premiership as well as my Championship, then it'd be a bit difficult for me. So he's very keen to get into the top league, and if something comes up, I'm sure he'll grab it with both hands.
It's interesting you say that. You know, that makes the Rising Star program really significant. Then, you know, if that's like saved you as a rider in effect, from, you know, maybe potentially giving it up when things got tough, and I guess as well it forces the clubs to select a British up and coming talent rather than, you know, get someone in from whichever country that might be, and it's just about a straight average, and obviously it becomes a different prospect then, doesn't it? But it does give you that advantage, and you know that is proof that the Rising Star system is working.
Yeah, I think the Rising Star scheme's been massively beneficial for a lot of us. Obviously Anders has come out of it as well, and he's pushing on at Sheffield. I think obviously Drew has as well. So we're all pushing out of it, and there's more people this year that are doing the same, and it's going to continue happening. So maybe they might rethink the average for the Rising Stars when we're all getting better or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't see a reason why it's not a positive for the sport, and it's definitely given all the youngsters a platform to try and take the next step. And for me personally, it was massive going from just racing a Championship meeting a week to then racing every Monday, Thursday, as well as my Championship. I was doing a bit of National League as well, and I was just racing so much that I was never rusty on the bike. I could just go out and feel like I did the last meeting and carry on where I left off.
Yeah, well, keep doing what you're doing because it's working out well. And how are you fixed this week then? Because your next meeting for Glasgow's on Friday, isn't it? Scottish Derby again, facing racing Edinburgh for what, the third or fourth time. So that's a close one, 46-44 at the halfway stage there. That's at Ashfield on Friday night. And then no action for Ipswich until, Ipswich won't be in action for a little while now, until a week on Thursday, and then it's the British final, isn't it? So you're preparing for that, I guess, now?
Yeah, we've got Glasgow on Friday. That'll be a tough one. Obviously, Edinburgh got one over us at home last time, the same as we've won at their place. So, they do like our track, and feels like the only team we've raced, really, with Glasgow. We've been against them so many times. But yeah, we'll have to try and win that one. I don't think it matters too much. I think we're already through on the BSN series.
Yeah, you are.
But obviously, we don't want to lose at home again. And I suppose it gives our boys a chance to try some things different and know the result of the meeting isn't going to be too crucial on anything. So, if we can get everyone firing in the team and try and get a big home win, I think that's the aim for everyone.
Yeah, and Glasgow are through to the semi-finals. You're awaiting your opposition. I think that'll get sorted out over the next week, maybe, but probably going to be, I don't know. Looks like Oxford and Poole might both make it through from their group as being the best runners-up. Not sure yet. And, it depends on Redcar. I think they've got a big week ahead. They're currently leading the other section as well. So we'll find out more soon. And then you've got a trip to... just the short hop down to Plymouth to ride against your brother, actually, with Glasgow next Saturday, having been at Glasgow the night before. So, big day on the road on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be cool to go back down to Plymouth. I did really enjoy my season there last year, and obviously I know that place really well as well. So, it'll be fun to see everyone again and go head-to-head with Joe again. I think he's very handy around there. He's learnt a lot from the likes of Ben Barker, and he said Nikolai's been really good to him down there already with advice and getting stuck in with the team. So, definitely going to have to try and bully Joe off the start line.
Yeah, get the elbows out, as you say.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, look, thanks for joining us, Joe. All the best with everything that's coming up, not least, of course, the British final on Monday, and then back in action with Glasgow, and then... Ipswich as well next Thursday, where you're at Sheffield. So you'll be riding against Leon Flint in that one as well. So busy time coming up, but thanks for joining us, and hope your season continues how it started.
No worries. Thank you very much.
So there's Dan Thompson, and next we've got another Dan, and it is the man who's defending the British title. Defending champion Dan Bewley launching his bid for a fourth successive title at the National Speedway Stadium for the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final on Monday. And we'll hear from Dan Bewley in just a couple of moments here on No Brakes, No Fear.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules. And no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hello, Nigel here. I couldn't help noticing that you're still awake. Now, I'm an owl. I'm supposed to be up at night. But you need your sleep. So if it's your allergy symptoms that are keeping you up, here's a word to the wise. Try Zysol. You see, Zysol works fast to relieve sneezing, runny nose, itchy watery eyes, and itchy nose and throat. And it keeps going strong for 24 hours, so you can get your sleep and wake up refreshed and ready for a productive day ahead. Be wise all. Take Zysol at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
So, as we know, the draw's been made for the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final. Belle Vue, Monday, May 12th. Now, defending champion Dan Bewley launching his bid for a fourth successive title. He'll be out in heat number 4, where he goes up against previous winners Danny King and Charles Wright, along with the in-form Anders Rowe, so not an easy start for Dan Bewley. Should he win a fourth successive title, though, he'll join only Barry Briggs as the riders who have ever achieved that feat. Nobody has ever won it 5 times in a row. We'll find out if he manages it, of course, on Monday. The clash of Great Britain's Grand Prix riders comes in heat number 6, with Dan Bewley and Robert Lambert going head-to-head alongside treble champion Chris Harris and Louis Kerr. And the other previous winner in the lineup, Adam Ellis, will be kicking off his challenge in heat 3 against Lambert, Steve Worrell and Drew Kemp. Now, tickets are available at bellevue-speedway.com/tickets. Well, we can hear now from Dan Bewley reflecting on last season and looking ahead to this one with Vicky Monk from BVTV, Bellevue's own live streaming channel.
Starting off the year, it wasn't brilliant, and then I had a few injuries and stuff like that, and then had a concussion at the middle of the season. And to be honest, when I came back from that, it was the first time I was, fully healthy again, and the season turned around for me. I won the GP in Cardiff, and then, just in the leagues was going very good, and had some good GPs, and very good end of the season with Belle Vue, and to win the league just topped it off. So it was a really good second half of the season for me.
So to go from that mid-season to finishing the season world number 4, that's quite something.
Yeah, after the first half of the season in the GPs, I think I was 14th, and then my points from the second half of the season, I was up there, so it was a good turnaround.
And this season, obviously, we've got 2 GPs here at Belle Vue, your home track. That must be really exciting.
It is, I feel like for the last few years, I always thought it'd be cool to get a GP here, and for 100% the club deserve it. It's the track's unreal. It's always brilliant racing. The facilities here is good, and it is a shame not to have Cardiff as well. But ideal world, I think we'd have a GP here and at Cardiff. But but still having 2 GPs here is going to be pretty cool.
Home track advantage in 2 GPs. Are you really saying you'd rather be in Cardiff?
I've got 2 out of 3 record in Cardiff, so I'll go pretty good there. But no, it's I'm looking forward to it.
Tell me what a typical week's like for you, Dan, like when you're mid-season.
Mid-season, all depends how busy we are, but we can be racing 4 or 5 days, but if you're a little bit quieter, like 3 or 4 days, generally just a little bit of training and stuff like that, a little bit of running, a lot of golf, that's a good one to pass some time, and a bit of like mountain biking and stuff as well.
First time I've heard golf used as speedway training.
Yeah, it's I think it's the perfect thing. We get for a Monday generally. If I'm in Poland on a Sunday, I'll fly in. I'll land 8 in the morning, and if you're not tired, it's a very long day not doing a lot. So have a set of clubs and go for a round, pass a few hours, and it's a nice way just to, for me, if I sit around all day waiting, I feel wrecked come 7 o'clock, and get out, a bit of fresh air, and I feel a lot better, when it comes to it. So it's good.
It's a good way of clearing your mind, I guess, as well, isn't it? Kind of reset and setting ahead of the new week.
You can certainly clear your mind, but give yourself some problems too. It's gives you something else to think about. You can be going brilliant on speedway and struggling at golf, but for me it's nice. It's completely different, but it's the same challenge end of the day.
Tell me about race day for you then. What does that look like?
Yeah, just pretty chill. Nothing. I have no real superstitions or anything like that. And if I ever do get any, I feel like I always try and break them. So it all depends on the day, but I might go mountain biking. If I'm tired, I might do nothing. Might go and play golf. Might just go to the driving range. Can be anything, to be honest. But just pretty chilled. And then once we come to 7:30, and the green light comes on, we're ready to go.
When the green light comes on, what gate do you prefer to be sat at?
generally speaking, the heat leaders will be off 3 and 4 in the first race, so I'm going to say 3 and 4.
What was it like then? You've said winning the league last year, obviously that would have been really special with a group of friends. What's it like going into this season with the expectation on you guys to hopefully retain the silverware?
Yeah, you know, I feel like that's why we're here, that's why we're signed, you know, it's to perform, and yeah, we'll just do the best we can, and yeah, if we all deliver that, we should be going pretty good.
Dan Bewley speaking to Vicky Monk there from BVTV, the official streaming service for Belle Vue Speedway. Now, the British final and then the Aces home fixture against Leicester on May 19th are both live on TNT Sports. So the next action you can catch on bvtv.live is the Bank Holiday Monday home fixture against Oxford on May 26th. You can go and catch up on previous meetings broadcast there also. That's bvtv.live. And as we covered, the British final available on TNT Sports on Monday, May 12th, and you can see it Discovery Plus. If you're also a TNT Sports subscriber, you can get it on there too. Before we go then, a little roundup of a couple of interviews from the Cab Direct Championship and the BSN Series, which is hotting up now in a couple of the respective divisions around the country, and Workington won a last heat decider against Scunthorpe with a 47-43 victory at the GT Tyres Arena on Saturday afternoon. The Comets fought back from an early 4-point deficit to go 6 up themselves, but a 5-1 from tactical substitutes Steve Worrell and Connor Mountain in Heat 14 narrowed the gap back to 2 and set up a tense finale. However, home duo of Antti Vulas and Troy Batchelor collected a 4-2 in Heat 15, split by Steve Worrell to give them the win in their first home match of 2025. Vulas scored 11 for the Comets despite a last place in his opening ride. Worrell totalled 11 plus 1 for the Scorpions, and reserve Declan Kennedy won 3 races and finished on 10. After being on the receiving end of a defeat against the Redcar Bears on Friday night, 24 hours can be a long time in Speedway. Jai Etheridge was voted Rider of the meeting, and I had a catch up with him after the Comets defeated Scunthorpe.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of struggled a lot last night. It was probably my worst performance ever at Redcar, but we changed a lot today, and yeah, it definitely paid off.
A close meeting throughout, went this way and that, never more than a few points in it, and it finished that way as well, but a little bit of a late pressure came to the fore in the final few heats, but you had enough. Those 5-1s, sort of the back end of the meeting, did the job.
Yeah, that's it. I think we put a bit of pressure on them, and then they had to use a tack sub, so then that worked in their favour. So it come down to obviously Heat 15, but Antti pulled it out the bag and Troy, and yeah, we got the win. That's all that mattered.
It's been a long wait for Working to get the season up and running. Obviously last night didn't go very well at Workington for the first meeting, but it was a big gate to finally get your first home meeting here in Workington on the board.
Yeah, definitely. It's always hard when you're in the championship. Like our first fixture weren't till May. When's that ever heard of in British Speedway? So obviously a lot of our guys are only doing one league as well. So up against Redcar, they've done at least 10, maybe 15 meetings, all their riders. We're doubling up. So no, I think the first one we just had to blow the cobwebs out and stuff, and then yeah, we're back on it now, and I think we're on every weekend now till the end of the month at least.
And for you personally, a change of scenery, because you've been with Berwick for the past few years. You made this change to come to Workington and say finally get that home meeting on the board, but it's been a great races track today, and usually that's the case most weeks. Yeah,
definitely. That was good racing track and that today, and like obviously you can come over and practice and try things as well, so which obviously worked in my favour and stuff. But yeah, it's a bit of a different change. I've been at Berwick for a long time now, so just a bit of a freshen up with my racing and hopefully push to get back into that top league.
A frustrating night last night at Redcar. Well, what sort of conversations? I mean, you talked about you personally, but the team as a whole obviously addressed a few problems from that first evening.
Yeah, we just said like, yeah, that it is what it is, and then like today, right, it's start again fresh. We forget about last night, never happened. So the boys come out and went firing. Obviously the gates were quite dominant 1 and 3 compared to 2 and 4, so we just had to work on that and yeah, go from there.
Okay, well done tonight, and good performance for you personally. You were voted the BSN Rider of the Night from the viewers.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Well, another rider who was entertaining the crowds was Vinnie Ford, who put on an impressive display around Workington in their first home fixture of 2025. He's been speaking to Hayley Bromley on BSN.
Vinnie, first of all, congratulations to the Comets on the home win today. That must have been a huge boost to the confidence of the team.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially after the loss last night. It was pretty hard for the team. We bounced back today, and we had a good few heats, and the lads were doing well, and I felt really good myself. Shame about the last one, but I just sort of completely missed the start. But I'll move on for the next, and hopefully next time I can get a maximum.
Yeah, other than that one, though, a fantastic afternoon for yourself. You must be delighted.
Oh yeah, definitely. It just seems everything's working now. I've been practicing a lot over the winter, and my equipment's better than ever. So yeah, it's just all of the hard work's paying off, and hopefully I can just hit this good form and keep it going.
Meanwhile, on Sunday, Glasgow became the first team to secure a place in the BSN Series semi-finals thanks to a 48-42 win over Berwick at Ashfield. The Tigers were taken to a last-heat decider by a battling Bandits side who fought back from 22-14 down to cut the gap to just 2 points with one race remaining. Dan Thompson, we heard from earlier, completed that 13+2 paid maximum, combining with skipper Chris Harris, who got 14 himself for a 5-1, which got the home side over the line. We can hear from the two team managers now, Cammy Brown and Stuart Dixon, speaking to BSN.
We seem to have last seat deciders every meeting now. It's not good for my blood pressure, but it's entertaining. But it's, I'd rather have a comfortable win. But it's not been that way. We didn't expect that with Berwick. They're a good team.
Exceptionally well, the Bandits have ridden today, but Glasgow, the track, a lot of riders are saying it's just not the same as what they're used to. The dirt line's not working like it normally is. Do you think that's maybe affected a few of them, caught them out?
Oh, it's definitely affected Bombers. He's not his usual self, although he's had some brilliant rides. I mean, he's Bomber's Bomber, but it's not as much grip as normal, no. But we need to work on that.
Stuart, it has been a case of the battling Bandits today. Things have kind of been tricky, but it's now a last heat decider, and you'll be pretty pleased with the way the boys have performed.
We've dug in. Glasgow initially asked questions of us, and they were stretching us. I think they went 6 points up at one time. We got the tactical to work, and we managed to stay in it. As I say, we've still been on their coattails, but there's nothing sweeter than stealing it in the last race at 8:15, and that's the plan, to try and do that. I know it's going to be very difficult, but listen, as Cammy said, last seat deciders, close meetings, that's what people want to see. Maybe not team managers and promoters, but the public want to see that. And for me, I know it's been a bit slick, but I think it's been quite an entertaining meeting, and the fact is that Heat 15 is good for the paying public, yeah.
So the top of the Scottish group is resolved. Glasgow will win that group. Poole and Oxford are set to resolve the southern section of the BSN Series. They meet at Wimborne Road on Wednesday. The northern section qualification is still open. Scunthorpe facing Workington on Friday before the Comets take on Redcar on Saturday. Glasgow, as we know, are already through. There is a prize for the best runner-up across the respective three groups as well. So finishing second in one of the groups will get you through as the best runner-up. I would say at the moment it's looking like it will be either Poole or Oxford that resolve that particular one, because they had a superheat to decide one of their fixtures. Scottish Derby on Friday, Edinburgh heading to Ashfield, but of course it's already sewn up there, so the two sides going at it, but you can be pretty sure that Glasgow and Edinburgh will be keeping that one very competitive indeed. Elsewhere in the Cab Direct Championship, well, the league itself gets underway this Saturday, the very first fixture of the Cab Direct Championship season at the Coliseum, Plymouth, hosting Glasgow. So big trip down there for Glasgow. That one will also be live on BSN as well. And there's a big Maxi Cab Knockout Cup tie at the Echo Arena on Friday as Redcar take on Berwick. They're trailing by 4 points from the first leg. Quick look at the World Speedway Riders Association National Development League and the National Trophy latest. Kings Lynn, top of the early NDT table after a hard-fought home win over Birmingham, which saw two riders, Ashton Vale and Max Perry, withdraw by mid-meeting. Fox Cubs, Leicester captain Will Cairns scored an 18-point maximum and secured the win for his side when they took Heat 15 from the back against Birmingham for their first NDT points of the season. And Luke Harris is joining Kent Eagles in the NDT next month as a replacement for Charlie Wood, who's injured. Although he'll race against them first, he's set to appear as a Thurrock Hammond Hammers side full of Thurrock Hammers side in a challenge match at Iwade on June the 1st. Edinburgh race their second home fixture in the NDL season. They host Belle Vue on Saturday, and in the NDT we've got Leicester back-to-back home matches as they take on Kings Lynn on Sunday. All right then, the full fixture picture for the week ahead. We've got that fixture in the BSN Series on May the 7th, Wednesday, Poole versus Oxford. That is level on aggregate as well. It was settled by a superheat, but as far as the aggregate points concerned, it's 45-45 to start with. Friday, May 9th, Maxicab Knockout Cup quarter-final between Redcar and Berwick at the Echo Arena. And we've got action in Glasgow, taking on Edinburgh. A little bit of a dead rubber fixture there, but is there ever a dead rubber between Glasgow and Edinburgh? Scunthorpe taking on Workington in the northern section of the BSN Series. Cab Direct Championship starts on Saturday. Plymouth versus Glasgow. BSN Series Workington versus Redcar. And the National Development League Edinburgh versus Belle Vue. Sunday, National Development Trophy Leicester versus Kings Lynn. And on Monday, the Attis Insurance Sports Division British Final at Belle Vue at 7:30. We'll have reaction here on the next episode of the podcast coming to you next week. So please join us for that. Well done as well. We must say well done to the Walk Speedway crew. We heard from Greg Blair a week or so ago, and they completed their mission, 107 miles walking from Berwick to Redcar to raise money for the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund, and they have raised quite a lot of money. At the time of recording this, it's around about the £10,000 mark. They might need a couple more quid just to get them over the line. Maybe you can help out on that, but an impressive effort. They set out to raise £1,000 to begin with. Nearly 10 grand, might be 10 grand, over 10 grand by the time you hear this, I don't know, but fantastic effort. They were limping when I saw them at the weekend at Glasgow. As you can well imagine, a lot of terrain was being covered. I don't think they're in a rush to do it again anytime soon. I did a few miles with them last week, that was sort of hard enough, let alone the other 100 miles they did beyond what I did. So fantastic effort and props to them, and that money, of course, very much is going to be used very well indeed by the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your support with that if you did donate, and we'll be back with you with another episode of No Brakes, No Fear next week.
No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.